Hello, this is Jennifer Chris with Whole Health Beginnings, and we are here for the Telesummit today. And our topic for the Telesummit is your other healthcare system. And our theme is alternative techniques to self-care and wellness. Now, this is really going to be quite a discussion today because, as most of you know, I'm a nurse, and I don't have a health practitioner with me today, so to speak, but I do have a health, self-care, and wellness person here, and that is Sandy McDougall. And Sandy is going to talk to us about money. And I'm just really excited about this because Sandy is a women's life coach and money mentor. Good morning, Sandy. How are you today?
Hello, Jennifer. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. I've known Sandy now for a couple of years, and she's an empowerment and transformational coach for women. She's an avid speaker, and she's also a published author. She helps women transition through challenge and change, clarify their deepest dreams and visions, and uplift their lives and their work. And integral to that mission, Sandy teaches women to create a direct and positive relationship with money. She's committed to breaking the societal taboos that keep women silent, fearful, and isolated. And she is dedicated to being a fearless facilitator, inspiring teacher, advocate, and role model for women seeking bigger, brighter purpose, as well as harmony and well-being in their finances and in their lives. And I cannot say enough about Sandy. She really is a fabulous speaker. I have got to say, I have had the privilege of listening to you several times over the past couple of years, and every word out of your mouth is like a gold mine. So I'm really, really excited today about this. So tell me, how did you fall into what you're doing, this type of coaching?
Well, Jennifer, I would say, if I were to just tell you in a short version, that there were two major steps.
Okay.
First one was into coaching and empowerment work with women in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That was my journey, right? A lot of us come into the healing work that we're doing because we ourselves are looking for our own healing. And when we find our own path, we want to turn around, pass our hand back to the women behind us and say, this way it seems to work. It's made a difference. I feel better. My life is in better balance. So I began to work with women around the stories, challenges in their lives 5 or 6 years ago, after several years of asking myself, am I worthy? Can I do this? Will they call me crazy? Will people believe the work that I'm doing? Will people receive an impact? Was the work that I'm doing, what I have to offer, really going to help women? That's a leap of faith that we all have to make, whether we're going directly into the health related, the traditional health related fields, or mental health or holistic health. And I had to go through my own journey there. So then picture me having taken that leap, and here I am coaching women. And what we do when we coach, if you haven't ever been in a coaching situation, is share stories. We brainstorm together. I hold your hand and cheer you on. I hold you accountable to your own vision for yourself. And slowly, slowly, as one woman said to me last night, who was finishing a 6-month program with me, I right now feel more grounded, more committed, more empowered in my life, and I don't know how you did it. And I had to say to her, I really, it isn't a logical, linear process, right, but there's something that happens when women come together with a deep intention and a lot of experience and know-how, yes. But this deep intention to lift each other up, things do happen. Well, okay, here comes chapter 2. I got several years into that process, growing my practice, learning more about what the incredible journey that women take. I mean, I have so much respect for the inner strength commitment of women. It's my amazement only grows with the work that I do. So I noticed something a couple years ago. Many women, if they're looking holistically at the journey of their life and the journey towards more wholeness and well-being, peace and harmony, we're discussing in our sessions and in our groups all manner of things about their lives, but not money. And
Yeah.
it took me a while to notice that. Then I had to admit to myself that if they had brought up money first thing, I myself might have recoiled a little bit
Mm-hmm.
energetically,
Yes.
feeling unable and unprepared to help them understand their story with money. So quietly, I went looking for someone to help me with that so that I could stand more powerfully in my work and cover more bases. I didn't want this one big hole, money,
Right.
to be there. So the end of the story is that even though I didn't know who I was looking for to help me, you can't go to a certified financial planner and ask them to help you heal your
No.
relationship to money.
No, because that's a different ball game. Yeah. Yeah.
It is. So I didn't
Yeah.
even know who I was looking for. But when you set an intention, often all manner of help does arrive.
Yes. Yes.
And I did find who I was looking for, even though I didn't. And she stood in this professional place of helping women with their relationship to money. Who knew there's such a person out there? Found her, worked with her for a year, and healed my own relationship. Understand now. Where did I come from? What are the beliefs that I have? What are the stories I have been telling myself? What are the blocks that kept me from even stepping into a conversation with my own clients? You know,
Yes.
we already had an ongoing relationship about deep sharing, and I couldn't be that person for them before. So now I lead with women's with the message that I am here. If you are confused with your relationship with money, if you understand nothing about it, but you know there's something wrong, if you don't know the questions to ask,
Mm-hmm.
if you've already met crisis or breakdown or confusion, or if you feel stuck at some place and just can't get past it, now I am prepared to be in conversation with you and help you see things you hadn't seen before. Open the doors of awareness, because it is not about the money, Jennifer. It's much more about
Yeah.
what's going on in our
What's
hearts.
going on? Yeah. Yeah. It is so interesting you say that. And, um, I have been very fortunate to be a student of yours. And I will say that it has been a real eye opener, because I did not realize how much, or what a taboo, and you use that word in your description, what a taboo money is for women. And especially nowadays, as we have more younger women coming up and more entrepreneurs, and, women are such a vital part of, the working system now, and just navigating what's out there, but also getting in tune with what's inside, because money issues can cause us to be physically ill if we don't know how to address the concerns. It can cause us emotional, distraught. And even spirituality can be affected by our relationship or unrelationship, maybe sometimes with money. So when you are working with a group of women, what do you think are some of the most important things that you find when you first start working with them? What
Mm,
is there fear that really comes out, or is it they don't even want to talk, they don't know how to share? What is that?
what a great question. I love that question, because one of the biggest challenges is to step into the arena, to
Mm-hmm.
to connect to your curiosity, to connect to other women, to connect to your inner stories. It's that first connection. And then when you step in
Mm-hmm.
and connect to one little thread that might
Right.
interest you or be available to you, all of a sudden more becomes possible. And for many, just as in any venture, the first, just opening the door to begin with is sometimes the hardest place. So what I have found is this taboo runs our lives. There are so few women who have ever sat with either their parents or a teacher, a girlfriend at the coffee shop, or a professional directly in a positive and constructive way, discussing their feelings, early memories, stories around money. You can go to a money professional any day, knock on their door, they will let you in. They could be talking to you about this and that. But if inside here, your inner voices are running rampant, unconscious to you, you will not be able to engage in the most positive way with good information coming in. So that said, one of my favorite things that I've created is a women's money salon. It's a small structure, a small group of women. We come together one time. Some haven't met each other, some may have. It tends to be a local little gathering. Somebody might have in their living room or in a small community setting.
Right.
And I just create the understanding for that moment, that morning or that afternoon, that we are going to share stories. And I'm going to ask some open-ended questions. And usually things start slowly. But once a woman realizes that she's in a safe place, that the stories that she shares, people are listening to in an honest and respectful way, that the stories that are coming from across the circle, she can take in and she can relate to and not feel so alone, that we come to connect with this deeper place that we've squashed down and hidden because of the taboo that you spoke of before, the taboo in our society to even talk and explore our inside, about our inside journey.
Yes.
And you're exactly right. Your purpose of your Telesummit is to connect these issues to our health and well-being. Well, in having these many, many discussions now with hundreds of women over the last year or two, I have heard stories of sleeplessness. I have heard stories of stress and all the outcomes that stress can bring, the negative health outcomes of stress. I have heard of depression, frustration, anger. I have heard of illness in relationships, disconnect in marriages, business partnerships, between the generations, watching children make horrendous decisions for themselves and all that happens there, or being disconnected with parents who are entering a vulnerable time of life and you've never had a conversation with them.
Right.
All that happens there. Tremendous outcome or impact on all dimensions of our well-being. Like you said, our spiritual self, we feel disconnected with the natural flow in life. Yes. Our physical selves, people actually give themselves heart.
Oh yeah, they get sick. They really do. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's so much around this subject that we could go on for a day. I mean, seriously.
A day. I need that.
Yeah. And I think that what is it though that has caused women to feel this way? Why does this taboo even exist in the first place? Because that question in itself can open up just a myriad of all kinds of things. I mean, I know myself, as a child, we were taught that, daddy went out and made the money and mommy stayed home and took care of the children. And I know I told you this before, that one of my very first memories of money as a child was my mother having a tin can in the kitchen cabinet with cash in it. And that cash was for groceries and shoes and, any type of emergency. And I remember my father getting paid and putting money into that can. And then it was like, the can sat on a shelf that was, way out of reach. Only the adults could reach the can. And it was like this great mystery that's just an early memory that I have. I can't even imagine what other women have felt, but why does that even exist? Because it's so profound in
It
our
is.
lives.
It is. That can on the shelf
Yeah.
has, and because you and I have talked about this, has run your money life at some
Yeah.
level
Yes.
for 6 decades, right? And you're
Yes.
starting to understand and see. And I myself had those images from my early childhood that have
Yeah.
run and limited and directed my money life. So one of the reasons to answer that question is that we look at money as, in fact, I can reach one right here.
Yay. There. That's
my big,
that's a big,
is my money symbol. Money, we look at it as something tangible.
yes.
And we forget, and because it's a material thing, well, there are a lot of implications of thinking of money as a material thing, but let's for the moment put the material image aside, even though this is such a compelling image, isn't it? You know,
It's very compelling.
wow, it does something to us. Something shiny and beautiful.
Yeah.
However, money is an energy. It's a symbol of exchange. It's a symbol of exchange. And to go back, I'll use your example, Jennifer. It's such a great example of the unreachable source of comfort or food or opportunity.
Right.
Sat on a shelf higher than you can reach.
Higher than you can reach. Yes.
If you imagine that as an energetic symbol, you can imagine that as an adult, a person might feel about money that it's unattainable,
right,
that large amounts of it are not available to them. Maybe it might trickle down. Mom might sometimes reach up and hand you one of the coins. But being in an easy and available flow is not an image that you would carry inside your heart around money. Something, and this would affect us in choices we make about our education and work.
Sure.
Choices we make in our business, about investing in our business and expectations for flow back to us. Choices we might make about asking. If you're a holistic health practitioner, can I bring in another?
Oh, please.
Okay. One thing about money is it isn't everything.
Right.
And every healer wants to know that. Money isn't everything. Because we who are in the healing arts, for us, reaching out to another human being and uplifting their lives up is what we get out of bed for in the morning.
Right. It empowers us.
It
It
empowers
really
us.
does. Yeah. Yeah. It's our purpose. Sure.
It's our purpose. However, whatever purpose you have, if you don't feed it energetically, our capacity to fill our purpose will wane. If we don't go to bed at night and don't get enough sleep, to use that example, eventually you'll be so tired you won't be able to function. All right. We all understand that. Or if we don't eat enough, we understand that. But what we don't understand is the same works with the money flow in our lives. If we don't feed ourselves enough permission to be in the flow of money energy, given the culture we live in, we drain our work energetically. So money isn't everything, but it does touch everything in our lives. And if we don't own that and appreciate that, whatever name we want to give to the good forces in the universe, whether it's God or Great Spirit or the God or inner knowing, could be inner knowing, universal knowing, whatever connection we have to good and hope in the world. Part of this, and I know I'm waxing a bit philosophical here, but it's good to go into the inner details.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah. That owning a belief that tin on the top shelf could come down and be held in your hands, in your lap. You could actually look inside, take some out, feel it, handle it. That's one reason I bring this around with me when I talk. I pass this around and people get mesmerized. All manner of taboo messages when they're holding it and looking at it, are running through their heads. I don't know what they are, but we all have them.
Right. Yeah. No, we do. We all have them. Absolutely.
This is something we can connect with, and this is something that serves our healing, our mission as healers. And until we can be one with that thought, we are not serving ourselves or our future clients and healing patients in our fullest ways.
Right. So do you think that a lot of women have shame around money issues? Because that, I think, is that's a big thing, is to have shame around money.
Yes. Oh, you're really asking me some good questions today. Shame is a game, shuts down the game.
It shuts it down. Okay, that makes sense.
Shame and taboo are very related. I personally talk about money all day long now. That's what I do. But for the first 60 years of 50 some years of my life, I hardly ever mentioned the word money. That taboo.
Just the fact that you have your hand over your mouth. I mean, that's.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah, that's like, no, I can't say. I mean, honestly, it's probably easier to talk about sex than it is about money.
Actually, I've read statistical studies. Yes, it is. Money is the most taboo subject. It's not sex.
Isn't that, see? And I didn't even know that, but I just guessed about it, because really, I think that is,
We'd sooner sit at the coffee shop with our friend and talk about our sex lives than talk about the shame we feel about our inability to blossom in our money lives.
Right.
Now, in short, one could write a whole volume of books about the topic I'm just about to give you a short version of. The history of the taboo about that women as a group have been subjected to around money is as old as money itself.
Right. Okay.
Men have, in most cultures, there are also cultural differences. Men have, in most cultures, dominated the life around money.
Yes.
It's something we inherit intergenerationally, that we are to be less involved in this picture, and men are to be more involved with the big decisions or the making of it or the managing of it or that kind of thing. The power, how money empowers our lives.
Sure, that's how I was raised.
It's how a lot of us were raised.
I didn't even know that there was anything else. I didn't even know what I didn't know. As one of my other great healing friends always says, you don't know what you don't know.
And that runs our lives with money, by the way, that statement. We don't know what we don't know. And that's what my work is all about, is to help us learn and become aware of what we didn't know. So there's history. There's culture too. For example, I heard last week that in Philippines, and I have to ask one of my Philippine friends for validation that this is true. The grannies, if you go out to dinner, the bill, that when the waiter or waitress comes with the bill, they look around for the oldest female and hand them the bill.
Really?
How about that?
That is so interesting. I had no idea.
Totally non-intuitive to us, because what happens now? Usually they look around for the most, the man who's sitting up the tallest, and they'll hand them the bill by default, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. That is exactly true.
So there are cultural differences too with money. And then in families, in our culture, the male, this is our culture being Western world in the 21st century, there's a lot of, pride that men carry about being the wage earner and the money decider.
Yes.
Now, not to say there aren't families where either the women are the sole breadwinners, or in a partnership the women make more money. These things exist now.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
But the reverse is true. A lot of men in those situations suffer shame, reduced pride for not holding the role that society tells them they should be able to hold.
Yeah. So this affects men just as well.
Yes,
I mean, in a different way,
it does.
but it does affect them. So what would be a couple of suggestions that you might have as to how to, if you're in a relationship of any kind with, well, it could be anybody really, but if you have a relationship with a spouse or a significant other and money has always, you know, been in the background for one particular person in that relationship, what is one of the first things that you could tell them or suggest as to how to even open the conversation in a way that they don't feel threatened or put down or shamed? I want to say, I don't want to say threatened, because shamed, I think, is a better word there.
Well, honestly, threatened plays a role in
Yeah,
many.
well, it does. Yeah.
I've worked with issues like domestic violence, and there is threat sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do have to be careful, but if you are in a situation where there's potential
Mm-hmm.
for new connection and you sense it, Jennifer, you've really brought up the point. Where you have to start is by talking.
Just
Right?
talking.
Opening a conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
That's number one. Not to say that that's something one can always jump into
Mm-hmm.
willy-nilly, just because you've heard somebody say
Oh,
that's what you should do. It doesn't, you can't always do it right away, and it isn't always effective right away. So
yeah.
it takes a bit of, you're opening a new realm. Opening
Sure.
a new realm. I certainly, that is your goal. That is your goal. Patience is required.
Yes.
And you know this, and I know this.
Yes.
Just starting in a very, very, very non-threatening, more asking questions rather than making
Yes.
demands.
Yes.
What if, honey, could we sit down? Here's your glass of wine. It's a Friday night. It's very relaxed. There's a fire in the fireplace, or you're out on the porch looking at the sky.
Right.
I've been thinking. I've been wondering why it is we do money in our business, if it's your business partner or family or home base, anybody you have a money relationship. It can even
Yes.
be your child.
Yes. Sure.
It could be your sister if you've loaned her money or she's
Oh,
loaned you money.
sure. Oh,
Right?
sure.
Just trying to say out loud all the different kinds of relationships. If there's a relationship that has money as part of it,
Mm-hmm.
this is a possible place to explore shifting how the
Yes.
balance of power is, because money equates with balance of power, by the way.
Wow. Can you say that again? That's a pretty powerful
Money
statement.
is a symbol of energy. Energy is power, right? It's force, like electric
Right.
energy or
Right.
water
Right.
flow energy.
Right.
And money is a symbol of that kind of the power of exchange. And
Yes.
if the exchange or the decision making or the source of flow is out of balance, if it's
Mm-hmm.
one way dominated and doesn't balance back to the other way occasionally, it just is always the same way. That is the equivalent of a imbalance in power, and it affects marriages
Oh, yeah.
tremendously, and it affects anybody with
I mean, they say that money is like the number one reason most people get divorced. Is it just that lack of communication? There's no communication in that area.
you used
Um,
the word harmony, Jennifer, and when you were introducing
yes.
our time today. Imbalance is disharmony. And things are healthier, to get back to our topic of health too,
Yes.
when flow is in harmony.
When flow is in harmony. And that's the thing. I know just from working with you, um, that it's given me the opportunity to be more open with discussing money with my husband, and I'm so much more relaxed about it now because I realize that the taboos and that tin can on the shelf were preventing me from even having conversations. And just to have for a woman to be able to have a realization that there are even blocks, and that, you know, even addressing those blocks and saying, oh, I never even thought about this. This is so amazing. That in itself can be so freeing. And
Yes.
just having that opportunity to share inside of a group, or even just with you privately, is very transformational. Because and I have to say this for those, you know, those women who are looking for some type of a group like this, and Sandy's going to talk about that later. The one thing you have to say is that it is a very safe place, and it's so supportive. And I think that for women, as a rule, they don't ever get that in the money realm. The men are brought up that way, so I think it's an easy discussion with them. It's part of their whole upbringing and their male culture. But for women, it can be very, very challenging. And so to have a place where you can discover these blocks, or discover the taboos around it in a way that you've never thought, it's just astounding. It really is. And I honestly, this should be a course in all grade schools. It should start in the first grade. It should start before that at home. But seriously,
Yeah.
that's how important this is, because as women, we need to be empowered. This is our time. I mean, we're seeing it across the political realm. We're seeing it in so many facets of our lives, and women are really, really waking up. They are. This is the time. This is the time. And I would hope that, you know, you and I would be the pioneers for this type of change in women. And I'll bet you, you know, as a health practitioner myself, I never even thought to ask women about the money part of their health, because as a whole health educator, my goal is always to connect people and say, okay, you know, if you're having pain, you know, here's an acupuncturist. If you're having this, you know, go here. But never had I ever thought about, if you're feeling this way about money, this is available to you. And that is so important in your health and wellness. It's another self-care technique that is just, I can't say enough about it.
It is a self-care technique.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And it's ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And it changes as we, you know, maybe get married, or we open a business, or we go to a job, or even asking for a raise. Because why is it that women are not paid the same on the dollar?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is just.
And the health outcomes of money stresses are enormous.
Enormous.
Anybody who works in holistic healthcare of any variety is very aware of how stress and worry play into so many health outcomes.
Yes.
You know, adverse health outcomes, right?
Yeah.
And they keep going. Weight issues, addictions, right? All those
Fatigue,
things.
the terrible fatigue. Single mothers raising children.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the stress that they have just to put food on the table, and, you know, to buy the kids clothes and stuff is just tremendous. And so, you know, it would be so great to have a place where they could go and discuss this, and just, you know, just be open.
And I want to say one thing. I like to say this at least once now. I'm getting, as I hear how women respond in these conversations,
Mm-hmm.
Certain points I like to make. One, I'm starting to include almost every time. This is not about how much money.
No, it is not.
This is not about quantity.
No.
It's harmony. So you won't feel harmony in your money life if you let some piece of your money life out of control. You're not paying attention. You won't have harmony because something is going on and you don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
You won't have harmony in your money life if you're either in a business and are overwhelmed, or in a marriage or partnership and are not in good communication. It's impossible to be in harmony.
Yeah.
So part of what this is saying, bring this in like in a holistic way, like you are doing, as people who are holistic healers are doing. Let's not consider you simply to be your kidney. You have a kidney problem, but you are not just a kidney.
You're not just a kidney.
A whole person.
Yes, yes, you are. Yes.
And you're in a family, or you're in your life.
Yeah.
So money, we have kept money out of that picture, and I'm a great advocate for bringing money into the picture as part of the whole.
As part of the whole. And that, gosh, this is such a deep subject, and it hits the heart. I mean, it really does, because women are such great nurturers. We're such great caretakers. We're so supportive. We know how to team build. We know how to build a support team around ourselves. And yet the one thing, that one aspect of our health has been ignored for so long. And can you give me an example of someone who has come through one of your courses and out on the other side, and what that's done for them? What that's done for them in just their whole life, in their different aspects of their lives.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to think of one in particular, because decide on one that I had a conversation with recently, so it's very fresh. For one, like you, she now engages more freely in conversation with important people who are either involved directly in her own money life,
mm-hmm.
and or engaging with other sources of information or support. She reports that she will write in her journal more about money,
mm-hmm.
which is a great way to connect to those inner voices. She reports that she talks with her partner on a regular basis. She makes money dates with her partner.
Wow.
Twice a month, they sit down just for a short time, and they just reflect. How's our money life going? And what can we do about it? And what are you thinking? What am I feeling? And let's talk about it.
Right.
That's radical.
That is radical. And I know I myself am so much more relaxed now. And if you do approach it in that manner of relaxation and just questions at first, it does open up a different way of conversation, a different manner of conversing. But I love the date night, our money life. That's a good one. And what a fun way, really a fun way to do it, because even our significant others, I'm sure, feel some trepidation also about talking about money. It's not just women.
Oh, absolutely. So my practice is around women. That's who I've chosen to deal with directly or interact with directly. All of us live in the world of men. And men suffer the other side. Such a lot of pressure on them in general, in a traditional relationship, such a lot of pressure to have it all, hold it all together.
To hold it all together, yeah.
They want to look good. This is very simplified, but we all know these stereotypes. They want to look good in the eyes of their men peers. They want to look like they have it all together and can manage this world. But underneath, they're human. Would they really rather manage it alone?
Right. That's a very good question, because it is a lot of pressure. And oftentimes I think because of the way that women have culturally and traditionally been taught about money, and the way that men have culturally and traditionally been taught about money, that in itself creates the wall. It literally creates that separation and doesn't allow the conversation to naturally take place.
And men are subject to many of the same taboos in terms of being educated. Parents very, very many men grow up without parents really teaching them in a productive way as boys about money. Same with schools. You could have a PhD in some fancy subject and not have a clue about how to run your money life. You might even have made a lot of money and not have a clue how to manage your money life in a harmonious way. Some of the people who have suffered the most from money issues are some of the wealthiest big names that people you know.
Right.
Michael Jackson is one that people often remember as a icon of disaster, somebody who brought in so much money and whose financial life was a complete failure. In fact, there is a saying in our field, more money, more problems.
No,
More
you're right.
problems.
You're right. You're right. And it's, gosh, sometimes this is probably one of the more challenging discussions to have with this telesummit, because, in the world of health and wellness, and nursing and stuff, we know our subject well, but this is so, I can't say this enough. This is so important for your overall health. It just, we don't need to have the fear that we've created around money, is what I'm trying to say. We don't need to have that. And we can choose not to have it. Is that right? We can choose not to be fearful if we give ourselves the tools.
We can. So if somebody were listening today and were saying to themselves, my life is already up to here. I'm too busy. I'm too overwhelmed. But I understand now. I get it. I need to do something. Shouldn't I be? I do want to be doing something. A person could start very simply. A person could start by, like I said, writing in a journal.
Yeah.
These are some things you can do on your own. Just write what you're feeling about money. Get it out.
Get it out, yes.
That's the precursor to talking is sharing with yourself.
Sure.
A lot of us don't even share with ourselves what's going on in our life. Take a friend to a coffee shop and say, crazy idea today. Would you like to talk about money? You could try it. A person who's also available as a resource very easily, especially for those of us in the Washington, D.C. area, is this wonderful financial writer in the Washington Post.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Point her out to everybody everywhere I go. Michelle Singletary is her name, and she writes in the Post very digestible articles about money.
Wow.
So I could go on, but this is to say that there are opportunities around us every day for engaging on this topic, just as if you had some problem, a physical or emotional holistic health problem,
yes,
you could ignore it and keep on with your life and say, maybe it'll go away if I ignore it. Or you could start to say, well, I'm going to read this book or talk with that person or check the Washington Post, health section once a week and see if there's things we can do in everyday life that can start to make us feel like we are empowering ourselves to ask some questions and find some answers. For a deep dive around certain topics, we want to find coaches like Jennifer on, dealing with sugar and weight and health and new ways to look at your eating.
Yes.
If you want to take the deep dive with an expert, same with me around your relationship to money. If you're really ready to take a grand look, put this front and center in your life this year now, you will, like dealing with Jennifer and availing yourself of her services and her wisdom, you do that for a certain amount of time, your life will never be the same. It will be changed for good forever.
Yeah.
If you choose any health practitioner and really take a deep dive. But you can start on your own. And sometimes that's a good way to do it, just to see, I won't die if I read an article.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's like we approach these things with such great trepidation, and then this little light bulb goes up. It's like, oh, I never thought about that. And then that leads then to the next question or the next piece of awareness, because I'm all about awareness.
Yes.
I am. That's why the theme of this is, techniques for self-care and wellness, but it's really about awareness. It's about awareness. And when you become aware of something, no matter how hard you try, you will not be able to become unaware of it. And that's part of why I'm doing this entire telesummit, because I am trying to make people aware of what balanced health and wellness is really about. It's not about always running to a doctor to get something for your anxiety, but really addressing the root cause of your anxiety or your trepidation or your shame or the taboos. It's about getting to the root cause. And sometimes we don't even know that the people who can help us are not always specifically medically related. So that life coaches, coaching in general, and mentoring, I think everybody needs a coach. I don't care where you are in your life, you need some kind of coach. And that's not to say we're doing that because we want to make money. No, we cannot develop as a person and be the person that we're really meant to be unless we can have someone to really, really guide us sometimes. And that doesn't mean you need a coach all the time. It means that in certain times of your life, you really start to question, and then you think, you know, maybe I do need to address this. And I have to say, of all the practitioners that I've had on this telesummit, yours is definitely the different one. I have one other. I do have an organizer coming on, which I also think is extremely important. But I just can't emphasize enough how talking about money decreases your anxiety.
Yeah. Well, an organizer too. That's who you're bringing on. So I've been a professional organizer in my past as well. The theme in my work, a lot of the theme in my work is around bringing harmony.
Harmony, yeah, that word again, that beautiful word.
Bringing harmony into women's lives. If your life is completely in chaos, either physically cluttered or out of control, the anxiety level goes up, and so does the blood pressure, the this.
Oh, absolutely. And you fall into all the wrong habits, and you don't sleep, and you don't eat right, and you don't have activity in your life, and that's why as women, it's imperative that we have this type of support.
And I like to say sometimes, because I actually never had heard of the profession of coaching until very few years ago. Maybe I might have become a coach sooner if I knew it was possible. There's another example of not knowing what you don't know.
Right.
Is that a coach is another word for a coach. I offer words for money, energy, symbol, flow, harmony. A word for coach is a mirror, a productive and helpful mirror. Things that go around in our heads and hearts without having any place to reflect on them, any safe place.
Safe place, yes.
It's a safe place. A good coach is a safe place. A good coach is a mirror. A good coach asks good questions.
Yeah.
And there's a saying that we have time in a 24-hour period for 10,000 thoughts. And that for most of us, about 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts rotating again and again and again. In other words, we get caught in our own little world of thought. And a good coach is a mirror about that, and also a mirror to reflect back new experiences, new ideas, new awareness, new questions that break the pattern and open that energy to new light and new awareness.
Yes.
The old patterns are broken, and new, fresh awareness can change everything.
Absolutely. And we know from just a physical and emotional and spiritual aspect that when we have those 10,000 thoughts and 90% of them are just on a loop, that loop actually causes illness, causes disease, causes disharmony, and affects us in a physical way, and then emotionally and spiritually, and disrupts. It disrupts. So what we do as coaches is I like to say that we're like influencers of change. we want to actually disrupt the cycle. We would like to stop the cycle and allow those thoughts to begin to travel in a different direction by introducing newer thoughts and more positive thoughts. So that's what we like to do as coaches. And so as we come to a close in this fascinating interview, is there anything you'd like to offer to the listeners and viewers today?
Thank you, Jennifer. Yes, we're here to disrupt patterns that haven't been helpful to you and offer new opportunities. These are invitations for you. So I have 2 invitations today. And should they tempt you, then you could contact me and we can talk about them some more. One is invitation to spend 1 day with me and about 6 or 8 other women. So a small group of women. The date is January 23rd. It's a Tuesday. The topic is called Align with Money. We talked a lot today about harmony. Mm-hmm. Alignment. If you don't have alignment, you don't have harmony. If things cross purposes or not touching at all or bumping into each other or a piece is missing or something.
Right.
So aligning with money, which uplifts your physical, spiritual,
absolutely,
well-being. That's the purpose of this whole day. And I would love to invite you to join us for 1 day. The subtitle of that day is A Day to Build Peace and Calm in Your Money Life.
Oh, wow. Just saying that, it's like, okay. You feel like you're going into a massage or something.
So I offer this day with a partner who's we do it together because her gift is bringing spirituality into every day. And so there are meditations and guided exercises and other beautiful pieces that she that bring us to this place of ease and openness. Then I weave through the day pieces around money awareness. And together we create a day where when we ask people, what was this like for you when they finish at the end of the day? And people have said to us, I now feel new hope. I never had felt hope before.
Oh, yes.
I now understand one or two really strong, important, and often hurtful dynamics from my early life, like the
tin can.
New stories take on a new light. Old stories take on a new light.
Right.
They don't feel so alone. This is the shame piece being busted. I'm not alone.
Right.
A lot of people are dealing with this. Let's hang on together, and we'll make it through together. These are some strong, some strong messages that we're getting from. Oh, and another one is, I never knew what to do. This has been bothering me for a long time. Now I know my next step. I've now become aware of what I can do right now to take the next step.
To take the next step. Yeah.
So that's the Align with Money Day. And now I want to make an offer. I offer I've created something called the Women's Financial Freedom Club.
Yes.
I tell you, when you get into this flow and harmony, you feel more free to be the actor, get in the driver's seat of your life. It's a several month long process. So it's a small group process. I'm all about small groups. I think that's one of the ways where we create the safety as well as giving people the mirror and the chance to explore. The newest one starts in early 2018. And I'm sharing lots of information. Like you heard some information that I shared today. I also share inspiration. The women in the group start to be each other's best buddies and cheerleaders, and there's sharing of ideas and listening and speaking. We're witness to each other's journeys.
Yes.
Become supportive of each other's journeys. And that experience, the first one is to give you a taste of what can happen if you erase for a day, or you eliminate for a day, or you reduce for a day that feeling of anxiety and worry that we carry with us 24 hours a day, a lot of us.
Oh, yeah.
The second one is if you decide, the Women's Financial Freedom Club is if you decide, this is it. This is my year to change the course of my money life and my relationship with money for good. And we often make certain commitments. This is my year to lose weight. This is my year to
Sure.
get a new
Oh,
job.
absolutely.
This
Yes.
is my year to find a new partner.
Yes.
You're saying that this is your year to build a productive, fun, free, powerful relationship with money with a new harmony in it. Then the Financial Freedom Club is for you. And I will say that of all the offerings that I make, I want to add a bonus. If you sign up because you're part of Jennifer Crisp's Telesummit, and I find that out, then you're going to get a free, complimentary, one extra one-on-one personal coaching session around your money relationship.
Wow.
Specifically on the issues that you have right now today, and what we can do in one of those sessions is revolutionary for you, especially if you're part of the club, because you already have made yourself so much more aware that our discussions will be most fruitful. So I would like to offer an extra bonus session to the club if you join, because you've talked to me and met me through the Telesummit.
So how would we get in touch with you? So if they're going to email you and maybe put in the subject line, Women's Financial Freedom Club, Telesummit attendee, so that you know.
Yes.
So that they can get that bonus.
I talk with everybody. We have conversations. This is a very personal process, both the Align with Money process and the Women's Financial Freedom Club process. So yes, please email me at sand, S-A-N-D, like sand at the beach, at well, like well where you get water, .com.
Okay.
Actually, that's probably the best way. sand@well.com, and tell me that you're interested in at least asking a little bit more about Align with Money Day.
Okay.
Financial Freedom Club, several month-long process that starts in the new year. We will have conversations. We will get to know each other. You want to feel safe, and you want to feel that you are going to be able to meet the purpose that you have. And I have other offerings as well. Those, but these are two that give you a flavor. I can either come for a day and just taste, but have a real experience, or I can actually commit to something longer.
Right. And I have to say that I've been part of that Women's Financial Freedom Club, and it has been eye-opening. But it's great because it's such a safe place to be. And I think for women especially, that is just paramount when we are discussing this. We should almost make this a new aspect of health.
Yes.
We should really, I teach the 5 aspects of health: environmental, emotional, physical, nutritional, and spiritual. But really, there should be another aspect of health, and that's financial, because it really, really has an effect on all of those other aspects of your health. So I'm just so excited that you decided to become part of this Telesummit, and I'm so honored to have you here, because Sandy really is an amazing, amazing coach. So thank you so much. And don't forget, for those of you who are interested, and obviously the information will be available, in written form as well. So give them that email address one more time.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I have had such a pleasure in this conversation with you. We hardly ever get a whole hour to ourselves.
I know. It's really exciting.
Yeah. And knowing that other people were participating too. So please, if you have any questions about either Align with Money or the Women's Financial Freedom Club, or anything else around your money life, your money relationship, or money questions, this is what I do. I'm committed to raising up women's relationship to money. Women hold up the world. You invest in women with your time, money, and energy, and you invest in the entire community. This is what gets me out of bed in the morning, and there's nothing now more that I love to talk about than discussing women and money.
All right. Well, thank you. So
please reach out to me anytime at sand@well.com. Sand like Sandy, sand at the beach, 4 letters, at well4letters.com, and I will welcome any and all inquiries. Thank you so much.
Sand@well.com, and thank you, Sandy, and everybody have a great day.
Jennifer, thanks.
Bye-bye.